Thank you for spending time at BioDigital 2021 to learn about BenEd Biomedical. As a world leader in psychobiotics, our products effectively enhance mental and neural health. My name is Sam Noble. I'm a product manager at BenEd. One of our biggest aims as a company is to utilize our psychobiotic expertise in the development of neuropharmaceuticals that can treat clinical diseases. BenEd's business model until now has been developing nutraceuticals and selling them as health supplements. For the next phase of our growth, we plan to use an out-licensing model and partner with pharmaceutical firms in LPB drug development. This will include partners who are conducting multi-center clinical trials and who are focused on central nervous system health and disease. Our focus is on three main areas: autism spectrum disorders, depression and mental health, and Parkinson's disease. To start off, what are psychobiotics? They're simply a specific type of probiotic. Almost a decade ago, two pioneers in this field, Professor Dinan and Professor Cryan, released their initial findings on psychobiotics, defined as a live organism that, when ingested in adequate amounts, produces a health benefit in patients suffering from psychiatric illness. Outside of the brain, there are more neurons in the gut than anywhere else in our body. Because of this, our gut is often called our second brain. The connection between our gut microbiota and these two brains is called the Microbiota-Gut-Brain Axis. This axis functions both ways. It communicates with different channels, including the vagus nerve and through the bloodstream. The most prominent psychobiotic BenEd has developed is PS128. It's able to regulate central nervous system function, including neurotransmitters dopamine and serotonin, and stress hormone cortisol. It was isolated from fermented vegetables. It's completely natural and vegan. Unlike many medications, it's free from side effects, and PS128 has undergone multiple toxicity studies to verify its safety. It's been used in at least 6 completed clinical studies, even more preclinical studies, and has been granted many patents in countries throughout the world. So, just what are the benefits of PS128? Well, first, PS128 was shown to modulate brain neurotransmitter levels, namely dopamine and serotonin. This was discovered through a model that mimics symptoms of depression in humans. This depressed mice model shows decreased levels of dopamine and serotonin, but treatment with PS128 significantly reversed these levels. Dopamine is crucial to feeling pleasure and staying focused, among other things. Serotonin regulates a variety of functions, including appetite, sleep, and our sense of well-being. Needless to say, when either of these are imbalanced, we may face a long list of problems, including physical, mental, and emotional. Another result found in the depressed state mice is an increase in rodent stress hormone, corticosterone. Here, the black bar shows raised levels of stress hormone in the depressed mice, compared with the white bar in the control group. After being given PS128, their stress levels return to normal. Whether corticosterone in mice or cortisol in humans, acute amounts of stress can actually be beneficial. The stress relief book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, explains just how a surge of stress hormone can help a zebra outrun a lion. Cortisol also helps us manage in high-stress situations, and regular amounts of cortisol regulate many of our body functions. But chronically high levels of cortisol can be detrimental to our health and play a role in many diseases. BenEd's decision of which disease treatments to focus on is based on PS128's ability to regulate these three substances: dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol. First, the area of mental health, specifically depression. Depression is an epidemic affecting hundreds of millions of people around the world. It knows no bounds. Both young and old, female and male, rich and poor suffer from this disease. Positive results from animal studies and consumer feedback have led to clinical trials using PS128 for those suffering from depression and related mental disorders. One trial published this year involved 32 highly stressed tech industry employees. They were all given PS128 for 8 weeks and tested before and after the trial for any changes in various aspects of mental health. Not only did they perceive significant benefits to a number of areas, such as feelings of depression and sleep quality, but their cortisol biomarker levels dropped significantly. The next focus of PS128's research and development is autism spectrum disorder. There's currently no approved medication specifically for core symptoms of these disorders. Many researching the GI microbiome believe that the gut is one way to improve autism, as does the psychobiotic pioneer I mentioned before, Professor Cryan. PS128's connection to autism goes back to before Bennett even existed. Isaiah is a non-speaking individual with an ASD. He has written about the frustration he faces when his mouth simply won't speak the words he's thinking. When he was around 10 years old, a well-meaning teacher, spent nearly an hour helping him try to read out loud a single line from a toddler's picture book. The elephant is big. There was nothing wrong with his mind, but something kept his mouth from pronouncing the words he so desperately wanted to speak. He dreaded thinking that the next week he might be asked to read out loud the next line, "The mouse is small." When Isaiah was 13, a relative suggested PS128 to his mother. She was willing to try almost anything in order to help her son. In her own words, she said, "Within 15 minutes of the first dose, he asked me a question using words he had never used before. And when I responded, he responded back." Isaiah has continued to learn and progress with the symptoms of autism. He communicates in his own way and is currently a university student. We're very pleased that PS128 was a part of his journey. After experiences like Isaiah's and promising preclinical results, PS128 was used in an RCT of more than 70 children. Autism truly is a spectrum of disorders with a broad range of symptoms, and no single treatment is likely to benefit everyone with an ASD. That said, the clinical study with PS128 showed multiple significant benefits for children involved. Specific behaviors, especially opposition and defiance, improved during the course of the trial in those taking PS128. Measures of social communication, restricted interest, and repetitive behaviors improved, as did anxiety levels in those taking PS128, but not in those taking a placebo. The final area of PS128 research is neurodegenerative disorders, specifically Parkinson's disease. Recent discoveries suggest PD symptoms may originate in the gut. In Parkinson's, dopamine-producing cells in the brain die, creating a deficit of this neurotransmitter that is essential for neuromuscular coordination. Since PS128 increased dopamine levels in preclinical studies, it was suggested that it may benefit those with PD. MPTP is a chemical that induces Parkinson's disease-like symptoms in mice. In these images, the green tyrosine hydroxylase dots represent dopamine-producing cells in the brain. Those treated with MPTP have many fewer of these cells, resulting in significantly decreased dopamine levels. If PS128 was given, the number of dopaminergic neurons remained normal. The neural protection of PS128 was even stronger than that of levodopa, the most common Parkinson's treatment drug. Here we can see examples of mice that were given different treatments. A normal mouse can walk steadily across the beam with its tail raised. MPTP inhibits its movements and balance. PS128 reverses these symptoms even more than does L-DOPA. Positive results of the first clinical trial using PS128 for Parkinson's patients was released earlier this year, and we soon look forward to its being published. We are excited about PS128's clinical study pipeline. Multiple trials on autism, Parkinson's, and depression are all planned to be completed within the next couple of years. Additional trials of other disorders, symptoms, or functions have already been published or are being planned. As a company, BNAD was founded 6 years ago. It has grown to nearly 80 employees, a quarter of these in R&D. We've secured almost 40 global patents and published more than 100 research papers, including at least 5 published PS128 studies, clinical studies. More than 1 million boxes of our product have been sold in more than 40 countries through at least 25 distributors. Sales have grown each year, last year reaching US dollar amount of 7.4 million. Our history begins almost 40 years ago, when BNAD's founder, In-Jae Tsai, completed his PhD in Tokyo before returning to Taiwan to begin a research career at National Yang-Ming University. In 2007, his lab isolated a Lactobacillus plantarum strain with psychobiotic potential. It was named PS128 and BenEd was founded in 2015 to commercialize and develop this strain. Nutrient Ingredients Asia named PS128 its probiotic of product of the year in 2018, and last year, BenEd was named one of the top 10 global psychobiotic players. Our CEO and co-founder, Frankie Jung, received his MBA while living in the US. He has more than 25 years of global management experience. Our founder, Professor Tsai, is one of Asia's leading experts on the microbiome, has written multiple books and given thousands of lectures on the topic. He leads our research team, which is busily involved in several psychobiotic research projects. Our international department, coming from around the world, is proficient in production and manufacturing, navigating local regulations and global marketing of PS128 and other psychobiotics. Our corporate strategy begins with our core R&D. Probiotic strains are analyzed using our screening platform, and those with psychobiotic potential are added to our strain bank. Further tests verify efficacy, safety, and quality. These strains are then placed on a market track while continuing to undergo preclinical and later clinical trials. We focus on bringing single strains to the market, which involves mass fermentation before commercialization into supplement products. Our ultimate goal is continued research and the development of strains as part of pharmaceutical therapies. Live biotherapeutic products are a new category regulated by the US FDA. They're defined as containing living organisms that are used for preventing, treating, or curing diseases in humans. PS128 will be registered as an LPB. PS128 has incredible potential for modulating the nervous system. Our next step is to identify partners with whom we can together develop our strains into LBP neuropharmaceuticals to prevent and treat diseases like depression, autism, and Parkinson's, ultimately receiving FDA approval and successfully bringing these drugs to market. Please reach out if you're interested in what we have to offer. Thank you for your attention.